Yo, what's good? It's your boy Big Steve, and welcome to the Haze and Blue, where we smoke and talk Michigan football. So let's get into it. So everybody know what's going on in the recruiting right now, as far as the NIL money that's getting thrown out, 10 million for 4 years. Um, it's been crazy. It's been crazy, and just to give my perspective on it, if you don't know who I'm talking about right now, it's the number one player in the nation out of the state of Michigan. So I'm pretty sure Sherrod Moore is under a lot of pressure to get this done. But he's currently committed to LSU. He made it clear basically that he's staying committed to LSU. But right now, Michigan is trying to throw him some money that he can't refuse. And when bringing up this money that people keep talking about, 10 million for 4 years, we do have to take that. There's a lot of players out here that are not receiving the NIL money that they're being promised. And when you look at a situation like this, where in today's football, Sherrod Moore's coming off a crazy year. And you basically putting your eggs in a freshman quarterback in a system where you saying Michigan has been known not to really have NIL money, but now we got 10 million to throw at a quarterback. How are we going to build a team around this guy? That would be the question I have. This dude he's a freak athlete, man. 6'3", 220. And you look at it and say, if this was this year, I would be excited if this quarterback was coming to this team before this season. I would be excited, but it would take so much to build a team around him that I don't think it would be a smart move on Michigan's behalf. Shit, if you Bryce Underwood and they give you 10 million, fuck it. That's 10 million. You can't say no to that. But you do have to take in the factor that Michigan really don't have that many bright spots coming back next year at the moment. Now, things could change where you have somebody like a Kenneth Grant who probably want to take advantage of the NIL and say he want to come back and possibly work himself into a top 10 pick next year. You have somebody like a Derek Moore, but these players are going to request more money, and then you still have to go out, and particularly receivers. So you put all this into one player, and now you just have somebody out there just looking bad, and now he's probably going to be on the market after 1 year. Like I say, the whole world's waiting right now because it seems like every other day the price is going up. The price is going up. And the thing about it as well, that Brian Kelly is probably not even guaranteed that he's going to be back next year. The difference is I just feel the talent that's in the state of Louisiana, it would be much easier to put a team together from scratch than what Michigan is basically known to do. Now, if Michigan somehow, get crazy NIL money and want to buy a $20 million team like the Ohio Suckeyes or Oregon, and then we looking at a situation where was the communication going into this season? Far as with the NIL, because that's been the knock on Michigan this whole time was they don't have the NIL to compete with the Ohios and the Oregons and the Alabamas. So if you're going to throw $10 million at a player and don't have a team to surround him with, that's going to be disaster. And unlike this year, where you probably have a talented freshman or returning star player running back who got an NIL fan base where you got to play that player. You know, Donovan Edwards was probably still the highest paid player on the Michigan team as far as NIL goes. And that's probably a reason why Nick Saban wanted to get out the situation of college football, because when you paying players that type of money, which the coaches don't supposed to have any say-so over, or the school don't have a say-so over how the money get paid to the kids, that's why you have situations now where a lot of kids coming out saying they're not receiving their NIL. So would I be excited to get a Bryce Underwood? Hell, fuck yeah. But do I think you have the NIL to get a Bryce Underwood and build a team around him? I don't know. This ain't basketball where we can say we can throw out 5 freshmen on offense and trying to go compete for a championship. You know, like I say, that's a lot of money to be given one player. You know, you have teams like Oregon or Ohio who was able to go spend that amount of money on 4 or 5 people because they already had a team in place. They already had their defenders over there. They already had running backs over there. Right now, on offense, you know, you can look at probably Jordan Marshall, the freshman running back right now. He's been doing some kick return. You know, Gentry, Zink, those going to be Greg Crippen can come back on the offensive line. Maybe Martin Klein. But is that enough firepower to where you can entice a guy like Bryce Underwood and bring out the best of his talent? That's going to be the problem. So not only is the early commitment thing is becoming a joke, now we got to worry about, are we going to just have a quarterback that don't give a damn? Because the thing about it right now, if the shit fails at Michigan, somebody else is going to throw him a bag next year. So it would benefit Bryce Underwood like a motherfucker to take the most money, whether it's LSU or Michigan, because if shit goes sour, the value is going to keep going up, just like the fucking payroll at any sport is going to keep getting higher and higher. Before sooner or later, you're going to be looking at $100 million players. And the story hits close to home just because Michigan offered this player coming out of junior high. Dante Moore, the former 5-star quarterback, grew up in Ohio, moved to Michigan, 5-star, and some rankings had him as the number 1 player in the nation. Originally committed to Oregon, decommits from Oregon, go to UCLA, play under Chip Kelly, and that whole situation was a disaster. The whole situation became a disaster because they didn't have no team to build around this guy. Michigan was going after Dante Moore hard, and once again, if the communication was there between the the NIL collective, and the coaches, we could have been making decisions like this. But at the same time, looking back at it, the Dante Moore to UCLA was tragic. He's probably making good money at Oregon right now just to be a backup and learn, in which I believe you only can transfer one time before you graduate. But hell, he's playing behind Dylan Gabriel, and he's going to come into another situation next year to get a bag from Oregon. So if I'm Michigan, you have to take this into consideration, where it hasn't been a team I can think of that put all their eggs into a freshman quarterback and it has panned out. Transfer portal quarterbacks are dominating college football right now. The closest thing you can think of is maybe the Tennessee quarterback, and he's a sophomore. He was the number one player, and he's a sophomore right now. Just like Dante Moore. So you're in a situation, do you pay somebody $10 million to possibly be a backup? No. Now you got donors and coaches beefing behind the scene. Unless you winning, maybe that changes things. But if you're having a season like this year, next year, that $10 million quarterback better be on that field. Bryce Underwood is every bit worth the hype he's getting. I just feel Michigan's not in a situation to put the team around him yet. That's where it comes down to. If we had, if Sherrod Moorfield, he finna attack, the transfer portal heavy, and they're going to unload. Because if you give that guy $10 million, who's probably making money on Michigan's defense right now? Maybe Mason Graham, Josiah Stewart, Will Johnson definitely, but I don't think these dudes is making nowhere near one. Will Johnson maybe touching $1 million in NIL, but we talking about going from $1 million to $10 million for a high school quarterback, which an era of football is really not a high school quarterback to come in the last 3 years to really make that impact on a team that quick. And I don't think Sherrod Moore, maybe if you get a quarterback like Bryce Underwood, that would give you another year. But if he have a year like this next year, I don't see that happening. Me personally, I feel Michigan got a couple players that can possibly, like I say, Jordan Marshall. I think Marlon Klein can come back next year and be an All-American tight end. There's a couple offensive line pieces there, but you got to at least go out and get 4 receivers off the rip. Like, looking at it right now, maybe Samaj Morgan being a number 4, but I don't see nobody on this roster right now that's going to help Bryce Underwood. Nobody. So I think it's cool that they probably raising the price more money that LSU got to pay. You know, but as far as Michigan giving somebody $10 million, we don't got the team or the recruiting. Because right now, LSU can say, not only we can give you NIL down here, we can compete with that. You got the number one running back coming in with you. And maybe got a top two running back already on the roster. And we know what LSU do with receivers. So maybe this is desperation by Sherrod Moore that he got to go all in. And maybe this can give him an extra year. But even with Sherrod, even with Bryce Underwood, I don't see nobody on this roster that can help out Bryce Underwood next year. So you get one player 10 mil, but you go get the other players. If you finna go get the best of the best receivers, you're going to have to break bread. And not only do we got to worry about attacking the transfer portal, we got to worry about the couple bright players we got to keep those players. A Derek Moore. Maybe Trap Money Benny. Maybe we can convince Rob Moore to come back with the NIL situation. So I don't see it being a $10 million situation. If anything, I could see $5 million to commit to 1 year. But in the future, it's going to basically come down to these guys having to sign contracts, in which we just getting in amateur football. But with all the Bryce Underwood talk going on and shit, I feel we definitely lost a quarterback that is going to be one of the weirdest situations ever I can think of. Jadyn Davis was a big-time recruit. You know, some rankings at one time had him as a 5-star. You know, he started to slide towards the middle of his senior season. He still ended up being a 4-star, top 10 quarterback in the nation. And you're saying you have a freshman, not saying that Jadyn Davis is Bryce Underwood. We don't fucking know yet. We don't know. You know, I know the state of Michigan has become better as far as high school football, but South Carolina, that North Carolina era has always been known for high school football. So what happens now for Jadyn Davis? Do you even think to stay if they finna pay a motherfucker $10 million to come and play the same position you play? Fuck no. On top of that, with 2 games left in the season, we basically living like Jadyn Davis class was like the last recruiting of high school kids. Because like I say, it came down between us and Clemson, and he eventually chose Michigan. I believe it was more of a Jim Harbaugh thing than a Sherrod Moore. That's why I feel like Sherrod Moore maybe want to go a different direction. But to not see this dude not dress out one time in the regular season is really going to bother me. Because I believe this dude really had talent. He had the talent to be the best quarterback on the roster this year. You know, I know it's just mainly going off of high school tapes, the couple passes in the spring game. I just felt his upside with a team. Like I say, Michigan defense could have been way better than what they were. I just feel like the offense let them down so bad, they just suffered the rest of the season. But and the thing about it is, when you got teams like Indiana, Rutgers, North Carolina, he's going to end up somewhere. And I just hope Michigan's not regretting letting this dude go. Because I really felt that Jadyn Davis really could have been the best quarterback on the roster this year. You know, hopefully, maybe Sherrod Moore give him a chance. Fuck it. It ain't like he can lose his red shirt now. You got 2 games left. Shit, you beat Ohio. Maybe we talking different. Maybe we can accept the fact that Bryce Underwood is going to LSU, and maybe we already got the quarterback of the future on the roster already. And now that money that we say we got in NIL, we can go get some receivers, some offensive linemen, some defensive linemen, and not just trying to make this magical shit happen with one quarterback going to change the whole program. Quinn Ewers is a fucking senior. You know, he basically started off at Ohio, but he's been at Texas 4 years. Carson Beck, the Georgia quarterback, basically been there for about 3 or 4 years. Jalen Monroe, been there a couple years. So let's see, can we get this dude a chance before the end of the year, and maybe we can show that we already got Michigan's future quarterback is already on the current roster. But if not, the shit been fucked up, man, because I ain't even get a chance to see this nigga play. Other than that, go blue.